Hello there, internet friend. Hope you're one of those cool humans and not one of those AI people. Great to see you. So, I have a question. How do you make the data in your database really cool and stand out? So, you want to know how to do stuff like this, or even this, or this in your Notion. Let's have a look at that today. You can use it to make your dashboards really cool, or even just the way the databases are displayed. And it helps to really make critical information stand out. And we can use different colors and different styles depending on the situation. Now, I've seen so many people on Reddit, as well as my own training clients, ask me how to do this sort of stuff. So I decided to put together this video to help explain that. Now, this is actually my first proper video on YouTube, so let me know how I did. For those I haven't met yet, I'm Toby Knight. I'm a Notion expert as well as a marketing consultant, and I've been working with Notion since about 2018, back when it was Notion 2.0, and they just released databases. Now, I run my whole life and business through Notion, and I want to be able to help others do the same. I run one-on-one Notion coaching sessions where we jump onto a video call, you show me all about your Notion, and we work on it together. So check out the links in the description below if you want to stop the endless tutorials like this one. But enough of the ad, let's get into it. Now, formulas are really powerful within Notion. They are easily one of the best features. Could you imagine Excel without formulas? That's what this is like. So Notion databases and the formulas that you can use within them are just the same. I believe that it's the difference between someone who just uses Notion and someone who actually loves using Notion. But in today's video, we're going to start with a really often overlooked small feature within Notion that really makes Notion pop out and make it feel like your own. And that is the style function. So it allows us to take any portion of text that a formula has outputted and use some standard formatting options just to really make it, jazz it up. All right, let's jump in and have a look. What's this going to look like for you? In a formula, the output is a block of text, what they call a string. So you take the text and then you can modify it using the style function. The style function looks like a dot, style, and then open close brackets. In those brackets, you will then put the modifiers that you're going to use, and we'll explore that later. If the output is not text, if it's a number or a date, for example, you use the format function to convert it to text. Then you can style it. For example, we've got the output, which is a number. We're going to use format to convert it from number, or in this case, date. We're going to convert it using format to text, and then we're going to use style. We'll see an example of this shortly. Let's talk about the modifiers. I like to use the acronym SCOOBY to help remind me what those modifiers are. As you can see here, we've got strike through, code, underlined, bold, and italics. To use the style function, we just take the first letter of whatever format we want to use, and we put it within the brackets with quotation marks around each letter. For example, if we want to have bold and italic, we would have style, open brackets, B and I, but each of those are in quotes with a comma in between. This is looking at the full gambit if we want to have all the options all at once. Now, we can't forget colors. This is where we color the text in the 8 standard Notion colors we've got available to us. To use it, we just put in the name of the color that we want to color the text itself, just like we would with the Scooby letters. Now, one other cool option we've got is to color the background or highlight the text. We've still got the same 8 colors we do with the text. It's slightly different though to the text itself. So if you were to have red on a red background, it still appears quite nice and it's very readable. You can definitely use red on red, orange on orange, blue on blue, and it still looks great. To use it, we would just put in the quotes, the name of the color, underscore background. For example, if we wanted yellow, like we've got here, we would go yellow underscore background. For red, we'd go red underscore background. Blue is blue underscore background. You get the idea. Let's put it all together. We've got the letters that make up the different formatting options with the acronym SCOOBY. We've got the color of the text and the color of the background. For example, if we wanted to have bold with underlined text with a red and an orange background like what we've got here, we would have B for bold, U for underscore, red text and orange background. Make sure that they all have quotation marks around each of the individual elements, and we have commas in between them, and it's all within the brackets of style. This tells us whatever text we've got, we are going to then style it, bold, underscore, red text, orange background. Same again, we've got italics with green text and yellow background. We've got I for italics, green text, yellow underscore background, all within quotation marks, commas in between them within the style brackets. So let's jump into Notion and see it in action. So here's a database for a theoretical collection of books. We have book title, author, the year it was published, as well as some other information about where it currently is and if it was borrowed and the expected date of return. We also have 3 columns here that have existing formulas in there that we'll be using for our example. And we also have a gallery view which has the book artwork for the cover as well as the title, and it's intended to be the default way that this database will be viewed. So let's go back to the table view. So here we have example 1. Let's go and modify that formula to add style. We can see here that there's a comment. It's a straight reference to a field and we're going to add style to it. And that field is author. If we choose author, because this is text, the field that it's referring to is text, we can just hit dot style and we start typing it, and we can see that it's actually recommending a few of the functions that's available to it. We'll continue typing it, style. We can see, yep, there's style. Because we can use the up and down arrows to select which one we want, and we can see there's a description on the bottom right. If we hover over that, or we can use the up and down arrows to select it, we hit enter. It's now added style and it's put the cursor in the brackets. It's ready for our modifiers. If we want this to be bold, underline, and in green, we would then type quote, B for bold, close quote, comma, open quote, U for underline, close quote, comma again, open quote, and then green, close quote. We can see here in the preview that it's got the author's name, it is green, it's underlined, and it is bold. So if we click anywhere outside of this box, it'll then update the formula and we can see that it's done it for all of the books here. Let's go into our gallery and add this new field, and we can see how it looks in the gallery view. Go to gallery and we go into the settings. Let's go to property visibility. We're going to select example 1 because that's the name of the formula field. And we can see here that it's added the author's name, and it's green, it's underlined, and it's bold. We can see that here we got Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie, and it's all built into the gallery view. And we can see that the formula is displaying exactly how we styled it. So let's go into our second example, and this is where we'll be dealing with multiple text strings at the same time. So we've got written by, and it's in quotes, so we know that's a text string. We've got the plus symbol, and then author, which is referring to this author field, which is text as well. And then we've got the plus symbol again, and in quotes we've got in. These 3 are text strings. Because they've got plus symbols between them, it means that they're attaching them all together, so it actually is written by, author, in. After that, we've got published, which is actually referring to this field here, which is a number. It operates a little differently, and we'll go over that. So we can style them as individual elements, or we can do it all as one. But let's do it individually. This formula has 4 elements. We've got 3 text strings and a number. But I want the author and the published date to really stand out. I want written by and in to not stand out as much. For the example, I could then style it in a grey text, so it's not going to be as obvious as if it was in black. To do that, we go right after the string ends. So we've got written by and it's in quotes. If I go to the end of this quote, put in dot style. So once again, it shows it here in the function selector, and we can see that it has the description text. So we hover over style, we hit enter, or we can just click it. Make sure we've got the cursor within the brackets, and we then choose what we want. I just want this just as grey text, so I'll type in GRAY for grey, and now if I click away, we can see that it doesn't stand out quite so much. Let's go back in to our formula, and we're going to do the same thing for in. We go just after the quotes, type in dot style, hit enter, and then we'll type in grey, close the quotes. And now if we click away, then now we can see that it's written by Oscar Wilde in 1890, written by and in don't quite pop out as much as Oscar Wilde in 1890, as well as any of the other formula examples that we have here. Let's go back in to the formula, and now let's style the author and the published date. So once again, we go to author, we choose right after it, and we type in dot style. Now we want this to stand out a bit more. So I want it to be bold, I want it to also be underlined, and I also want it in green. You can see here that it's now done that. Let's go back into the formula. So we can see here that the reference to the published field is actually over 2 lines. That doesn't matter. We can still work with it. Now, here, this is where it's a little different. Because it's a number, not a text field, if I go dot style, it's not going to give me the option. We need to convert it from a number to text. To do that, we're going to use the format function. So if I type in dot format, and we can see here that it's selected, I hit enter. Now we don't need to add anything within the brackets. So the format function looks at its parent, which is right before the dot. So the published field is the format's parent. So it goes published dot format. So it's the published date, which is a number. We're converting it using the format, so it's going to turn it into text. And now if we hit dot style, we can see that it appears now. If I hit enter, we can now style it as we did before. So if I want this to be bold, I want it in red. So now if I click away, we can see that it is bold and it is red. In our gallery view, let's replace example 1 with example 2. Go into gallery view, I'll go into the settings, property visibility, I'll go remove example 1 and I'll put in example 2. And now we can see that we've got the artwork, the title, and it's written by Oscar Wilde in 1890. We can see that the style function is converted into a standardized style. So I did mention that we could do this all at once and without it dealing with each element individually. To do that, if we go into title, we'll open up the example. Now let's remove all the formatting. Now what we can do is if we wanted to format the whole lot together, we would then just put brackets around everything we want. So we've also included this published, which is a number. Because we're adding it to text, it's going to automatically convert it to text. If we hit dot style, we can then style everything within the brackets as text. So if I want this bold, I want this in italics, and I want it yellow. Click away, and now it's converted it all in yellow, bold, and italicized text. If we go to the gallery view, we can also see that it's updated here. So let's head back and look at example 3. In our final example, we're going to be looking at an if statement. We'll cover if and ifs statements in a future video, but we'll just have a quick look now just to give you a bit of context to what we're doing. If statement, or an IFS, asks the question, if this is true, then do this, otherwise move on. So to give you a quick rundown of this particular if statement, it's asked the question, if the status is in collection, we're going to say it's in the bookshelf and the bookshelf number. If that's not true, it then moves on to the next one, which is if the status is borrowed and the return date is sometime either today or in the future, we're going to say that it's due on, and then we're going to say the return date, which is this column here. and then we're going to format that. And if this isn't true, then we're going to move on to the last one, which is if it's the status is borrowed and the return date is sometime in the past, we're then going to say it's overdue by, and this is a date formula to say how many days is it overdue by. And then we're going to add days at the end. So it'll say overdue by 15 days. We'll style each of the outputs in a slightly different way just to really highlight which option it's giving us. Let's start with the first one. I want, if it's in the bookshelf, I want it to be in blue, but I want to highlight the bookshelf number. I want to make that really stand out. Let's, after the in bookshelf text string, if I put the cursor at the end, hit full stop, style, and once again it comes up with it suggested here. I just hit return and make sure that the cursor is within the brackets. We're then going to format this so it's in blue text. So then we put it in quotes, blue, blue. We'll go and have a look. In bookshelf is blue, but the number still is not quite blue and it doesn't quite stand out the way we want it to. We'll jump back in and we'll format the bookshelf number. We'll put in full stop, style. Now, because this is referring to a number, once again, we have to go back. We're going to use format to convert it from a number to text. And now we can style it. Style. Let's style the bookshelf number in a way that really makes it stand out. I want it to be bold. Now for something different, I'm going to use the code modifier. I also want it to be blue. Whoops. Blue. And I want it to be blue underscore background. Let's have a look at what that looks like. I'll click away. Now we can see that it says in bookshelf and it's quite obvious that it says 1, 3, 2. We can really see that which bookshelf it's in. Let's look at the ones that have been borrowed but aren't overdue yet. I want this in green text. Let's change the due on to be green. So style, green. And I want the return date to really stand out just like we did with the bookshelf number. So with the return date, we've got format date afterwards, which not only converts it from the standard date into any format that we really want. We've got it as month, day, and then year. Now what it also does the same thing as format. It's converted it from a date to text at the same time. So if I go at the end, I go style, it works. I don't need to go and format it first. If I got rid of this, so I'll remove this, as well as style. If I try to use style after return date, it's not given the option. So it's just like a number. It's not going to let me style a date unless it's been formatted first. I'll put back that format and now we'll go style. And I want this to be green. We'll also make it bold. Let's make it green background. And let's also use code. I liked how that looked. Now it doesn't matter which order you do it. You can do it in any order. As you can see, I put green, bold, green background, code. It doesn't matter how the order that you put this in. As long as they're all in quotes and they have commas in between, it should be fine. Here we can see that we've got the ones that are due on the date. Now finally, we've got the books that are overdue. I want these formatted in red. So overdue by, let's make that red. Oops. Style, red. Now this next function basically just looks at today's date and the return date and just tells us what the date difference is between those two. Now the output of that is going to be a number, so it's not going to allow us to style that, so we have to use format first. So if we go style, once again it's not going to give us that option, so we're going to go format and then style. Now I want this to really stand out as well, so we're going to go bold, code red and red background. Red underscore background. And then we've got days at the end, which I want that also to be red. Style red. Let's jump out. Now we got overdue by 8 days, overdue by 11 days. Now let's add that to our gallery and put it all together. We'll jump into the gallery, we'll go into settings, property visibility, and we'll add an example 3. Now, as you can see, we've got all the details here for our book collection. So thanks for joining me. If you found this video helpful, let me know with a like. All right, see ya.